Good evening, good morning, good night. Salam, namaste, assalamu alaikum. Hello, people around the world. This is Dr. Sanjaykumar from the Pakistan. Once again, welcome you all in Facebook Live series. Facebook Live series is supported by the Rehan Foundation and Institute of Peace. Today, we have very wonderful, very charming, very beautiful personality from Quebec. Her name is Viki Brewster. Let's move to her to know more about her. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you. I have request to you. Please introduce yourself to our viewers. Over to you.
Sure. So my name's Viki Brewster, as Dr. Sanjay said. I live in Montreal, Quebec. I've been here 21 years, but I'm originally from the US, so I'm an import, as I call myself. Um, I've been a social worker for 23 years. I'm a former therapist, author, blogger. I paint, I sketch, I knit, I refinish furniture. I'm pretty eclectic. And I'm doing coaching. So my coaching is on loss and grief. And the name of my coaching is Lilac Coaching, which is actually in honor of my maternal grandmother, because it was her favorite flower, her favorite color, and it's just my way of keeping her memory alive.
Amazing. You shared your intro to our viewers. Thank you so much. My question to you that please share about your life journey from your childhood till you are what you are today. How you pass through your life struggle, what struggle you face through, what obstacles, what hurdles you face during your life journey. So please share your life struggle and life journey with us here. Over to you.
Okay. Well, I was born in the States. I was born in Connecticut. Grew up in New York State. I had a really good childhood. I have great parents, great grandmothers, great godparents who were like grandparents to me. I have a brother. Um, a lot of stuff kind of happened to me throughout my life, different accidents and incidences. I don't know if you want me to go into all that, but um, I guess how I got into loss and grief is when I was 17, my great grandmother died. That was really kind of the first time I experienced a family death personally. Otherwise, it was mostly our pets. And then as I went throughout life and I went through graduate school, and then I started working as a social worker because most of my clients were seniors. So for 20 years, I worked with seniors. So obviously, I dealt with a lot of death, a lot of grief, a lot of loss. I would attend. Sorry, it's my cat behind me. I would attend client funerals whenever I was able to, especially the ones I was extra close to or their families. But there's so much I could talk about. I don't know what you want me to talk about. So I'll let you ask some questions maybe.
Okay, thank you so much. You shared your life journey, your life struggle, as you said in your conversation that you were a social worker, you are a social worker. So my question to you that what type of social activity you are doing presently, what type of social activities you have done in your past. So please share to us.
Sure. So when I was in graduate school, I chose to work in education. So my first placement was with both an elementary school and an alternate middle school, which is like young high school for kids who were going through behavioral issues, challenges coming from families, excuse me, that were maybe not the best environments. And then my second stage, as they would call it here, or placement, was as a community social worker, which I loved. So I worked in a community, and again, I worked with youth and families, and again, youth that were kind of going through challenges, difficulties. They had backgrounds where maybe the parents didn't have the best parenting style, or they themselves were still dealing with issues from their own childhood, trauma and things. My first job actually out of graduate school as I became a therapist, and I worked with youth and families for about a year and a half. But I realized one day I would want to have kids of my own, and I couldn't keep working with kids because the first time I had a file this thick on a 5-year-old, and they had been through that much already at age 5. I was like, okay, it's time for me to move on because it was too difficult for me emotionally. So then I worked with adults with mental health issues for a year before I moved to Canada. And when I moved up here, I started working with seniors, elders, and I loved it. And I did it for 20 years. Currently, I'm actually on sick leave from my job because of various health issues. So 2 years ago, I suffered a concussion. And then in the spring, I got sick with whatever, doesn't really matter at this point what it was, but it kind of exacerbated some of my symptoms, and I had other symptoms that came up. And on and off throughout the years, I've always done what I call my side work kind of thing. So that's where I've gone into loss and grief. And I'm actually an author. Like, I have a co-author. We put out a book 3 years ago. This spring, we're coming out with 2 more books. We just got our proofs, which we're very excited about, and we're going through. So those books will be out in the spring, and we're already halfway through the next one, which we're aiming to put out early next year. So they're all on death, dying, grief, and loss. But our first book was like almost 600 pages because it was very encompassing. So there was 52 authors in it besides ourselves, and it covered pretty much every relationship about death and dying. So parent, spouse, grandchild, client, people who had miscarriages or abortions or the loss of a pet, which a lot of people don't think of that as being, but pets are family for a lot of people, especially here in North America. And then the other half of the book was we had doctors and lawyers and nurses and social workers that wrote about their own experiences having clients and patients either be palliative or pass away. And then coming from the social work background, I added in pieces of resources and checklists and groups and different kind of organizations around that offer support for people going through it. But we were told the book was too big. It was too much for one book. So we've decided to divide it into 2 books. So we're republishing it. So we're excited about that. And then the one we're publishing for next year is going to focus more on religion, ethnicity, culture, and kind of how it all relates to loss, grief, death, and dying, because certain cultures, you don't talk about it. Other cultures, you're not allowed to plan. Some cultures is very specific about the colors you wear for mourning or for grief. So we're working all that into the next one. So it's kind of that one go-to book that, if you're a teacher or you're a nurse or you're a social worker and you're working with different clients, it's a book you can turn to and you can say, okay, this person's Hindu. What can I say, not say? Oh, this person's Catholic. What can I say? What can I not say? This person comes from India, or this person comes from somewhere down in Africa. So there's all these different kind of taboos and kind of things you shouldn't say or you should say. And you don't want to bring up something that might make a family uncomfortable. So that's our goal for that book. That's kind of a lot I just said.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You shared your how you came, what social activities you have done, what social activity you are doing, and thank you so much. You also shared about your book. You are also author. So my question to you that how you came into writing, how you become an author. So please share.
So I've been writing since I was a kid. I used to write short stories, and then I went to poetry. And when I got into graduate school, I started doing more articles. And afterwards, I actually published some articles in different social work kind of arenas. And then my co-author, we met because I used to do book reviews, like for people. They would give me a copy of their book that was of interest to me, and I would review it. And that's how I met Julie, my co-author. And we both realized this was our area. And there's not too many people that really want to get into death, dying, loss, and grief. And the book I reviewed for her was about her journey of her father being diagnosed with cancer and being there for him and doing what's called a celebration of life kind of before. So somebody could get some feedback and have people share happy memories with them. But the other piece of it is he shared specifically what he wanted at his funeral, and she followed that. So he told her exactly what he wanted. And then we started writing the book. And she comes from an education background. I come from more of a social work background. and it meshed really well. And we just, both of us just had so many different contacts, and we just reached out. So, I mean, I've been on LinkedIn 8 years, and I think Julie and I have known each other about the same amount of time. And it took us 2.5 years to write the first book. And this the next two coming out has been over the past year, but obviously for a lot of people, a lot's happened in the past year. And we had already started the other one. So that one we're about halfway through. So that's how I got into writing. I also blog. I have a blog I've had for 8 years, which talks a lot about my interests. So whether it's loss and grief, death, dying, aging, advocacy, education, anything that's kind of youth-based, mental health issues are huge. So those are kind of all the things that I focus on. Yeah, so that's how I got into writing. I've just done it for, it seems like
Thank
forever.
you so much. Thank you so much. You shared with us that how you came into writing, and you shared you are writing since you are a kid. You started writing short story, then poetry,
Yeah.
then articles in newspaper, then blogging, then you are writing now a book. So thank you so much for sharing your writing journey. We have a Jasmine Shimele.
Mm-hmm.
She said hello, how are you? And she also appreciate congratulations for your first book. Here is the screen.
Thank you,
And
Jasmine.
we have a Sir Iris English. He's from the Pakistan. He also gave good comments to us. Thank you, Sir Iris. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you.
My question to you that as you have a very much information regarding social issue, regarding mental health issue, you are writing on it. My question to you that how we end corruption in the world.
How do you end corruption in the world? Uh, I think we're already kind of heading in that direction personally. I think the past year has been challenging for a lot of people. I don't know one person that hasn't been affected by everything that's going on. And I notice a shift. I feel a shift in that people are friendlier and more caring, and everybody's reaching out more. And I feel a lot of, at least here in North America, there was what I would call a lot of materialistic kind of focus. And I feel that's really kind of fallen by the wayside, as it should have. And people are more focused on what's really important. So I think this past year has really taught people a lot of things that needed to change anyway. So people being that they're locked up in their homes because of lockdown, like here, we're in complete lockdown. We have curfew. We haven't been able to really do much of anything for almost 2 months now. And we had it in the spring as well for about 3 months. Restrictions, everybody's facing something. Personally, I like seeing the change and the shift, and I find people are becoming much more community oriented, which to me is as it should be. Like, I know my neighbors and I check in with them, and I've always made a point to do that, but other people don't even know who their neighbors are. If they were stuck and they really needed something, they would have to go knock on basically a stranger's door, which I think is kind of sad in some ways. I wasn't raised that way, so I was raised to know my neighbors and get to know them, and it's just who I am. Be helpful. That to me is really important. So I think that's the first step. I mean, me personally, I'm part of what I will call a global partnership community, Noble Goldman, which I absolutely love. I've been part of it since June, and it combines encouragement, accountability, support, masterminds, which I absolutely love. So if anybody knows the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he talks specifically about what masterminds are. So it's an opportunity to get together, you learn together, you read books together, you study different topics together, but you support one another. And then you have the opportunity to do business together. But the idea is you keep those relationships for years. It's not short term. It's like 10, 20 years from now, I'm still with that same group of people. To me, that's community. And I think that's the direction we're kind of going in. And I'm actually really happy about that. At least that's what I see from here. I don't know what it is where you are, but that's how I think people get involved, people advocate, people stand up, people say things. That's how you stop corruption to me. Oh, you're muted.
Great, amazing, very concisely, very precisely, but very to the point. You told that how we end the corruption. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your opinion that how we end corruption in the world. It was really wonderful and very helpful, not for me, viewers who are watching this. Actually, our aim is to educate the people regarding common errors in our society. So I think you did a wonderful job. You give a very informative information to all of us. So thank you so much for sharing such a wonderful information regarding how we end corruption. My
My
next question,
Yep.
thank you.
First, I wanted to say thank you. My pleasure. But um, I think a lot of people have opinions. I'm not the only one, but I think if you go, people from different countries will have maybe different answers depending on how they've grown up in the environment that they're living in. So, I'm very fortunate. I live in Canada, and I know it's very different in other countries. But I think kind of coming from that social work background, like this is already part of me, it's part of my education, and I go forward with it. So.
Thank you so much. Actually, this is the one of commonest question of mine in every interview. I'm trying to ask from because I want to cut the root of corruption from the world. So this is a small initiative from my side to ask this question from people who are ready to give me interview of different part of world to share their views. Then I write down their views on my diary. So this is a little initiative. Hope we will reach to our destiny. Thank you so much. My question to you: what is your vision in life?
Oh, I have a lot of visions. um, I would probably say, like, I have a list of goals like this, and they start small and work up to the big goal, as I call it. Um, so really, what I want to do as time evolves is to create courses and training so that the average layperson, the average person, as well as professionals, get training on how to work with or be around people who are going through loss and grief, because a lot of people don't know how to respond. And a lot of people will automatically, like, if something just happened and you're crying and upset, a lot of people's initial response is to try to comfort you and get you to stop crying. But you know what? Crying is very healing, and sometimes you need to do that. But a lot of people don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. They don't, and that's, I think, unfortunate. So part of my goal is to help people, besides moving forwards in loss and grief, is to learn how to interact with people going through it. So my idea is trainings and courses and the books and masterminds on it. And then my big dream really is I want to partner with other people and create a sustainable intergenerational community that people can live in and grow vegetables and herbs and have trainings and offer and teach there. And it's almost like a bartering type system where if I help you write an article in exchange, you cook one of my favorite dishes, or I babysit your child in exchange, you go grocery shopping for me, something like that, where it's not an exchange of money, it's an exchange of service. But it'd be sustainable, like solar energy, depending where it is, geothermal, like for heating. And it's kind of a return, I think, to our roots for a lot of, well, at least for North Americans. Other countries, they probably already doing some of this, but that's my big vision.
Thank you so much for sharing this. That how what your vision. You shared your vision, your goal to all us, all of my viewers. My question from this that as you said, you have a lot of goal. So how to set a goal?
How to set a
Please.
goal?
Yes.
Well, there's a process, actually. I have done a couple goal setting exercises with different groups that I'm part of. One of them is like, what's your passion? What makes you happy? What makes you get excited to get out of bed in the morning and say, oh, and like you just do it. If you get out of your bed and you're like, oh, I have to go to work, you're not excited about it. It's like, well, that might be paying the bills, but that's obviously not your passion, if that makes sense, or what your, like, everybody has, not everybody has, but everybody does not necessarily know that they have what I term a gift. They already have something innate inside of them that they should be doing, and some people don't know how to find out what that is. So to me, meditation, visualization, a gratitude journal, focusing on kindness and giving back. Now, I'm a big believer in pay it forward. Somebody helps me, I help them in return, or I help somebody else. Community, giving back and not expecting anything in return, because that's part of the cycle, right? You give and eventually either it comes back to you or it comes back to somebody else. So I think kind of tapping into a lot of that is what helps people set goals. But everybody should have a picture to look at that brings them joy. Like, put it above your computer and you look at it, and that helps inspire you. Music can inspire you. You know, for me, I'm into classical kind of soothing music, nature sounds, that inspires me. Really sitting down and asking yourself, what do I like? And maybe it's a hobby of yours that you absolutely love. Great. How do you turn that into an extra income? You know, I love painting and sketching and knitting, and I refinish furniture, and I'm very unusual. I'm eclectic, as I call myself, but I was taught some of these things by people in my life. And these are all things I can turn into extra income. And to me, nobody should have only one income to rely upon. So I very much believe in what I call multiple streams of income. So whether you have 6 different things, if one fails or is not doing well, you have 5 others to turn to. They don't have to bring in a lot, because anything you bring in is good and anything is extra, right? So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's kind of what I would use. And make a list. You know, maybe you sit down and make a list of your current job, pros and cons. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? You know, or what's your dream? Like, if you could have any job in the world, what would it be? And don't put a limit on your thoughts. Just write it down, and don't think it's impossible. You might have to take many steps to get there, but if you really want it, it'll happen. But that's what I think anyway.
Amazing. Thank you so much. You tell us that how we set a goal. You said that first know your passion. What is your passion? What make you happy? What make you excited? Sit down and calm. Then write down your goal. Thank you so much. You tell us that how to set a goal. My question to you that please share what 3 lessons you have learned from your life experiences. Please share to us.
So I've had a lot happen in my life, but I believe that whatever happens to us needs to, in some ways, happen to us, because that's the only way we learn and grow. So it's like a lesson. We're being given a lesson, and sometimes those lessons are very challenging and they're not easy. And sometimes they come all at once. So the expressions, if you ever heard the expression, when it rains, it pours, it's not like a gentle rain and you get sometimes one lesson. Sometimes you get 5 thrown at you at once. And it's testing you. It's seeing how strong you are. And a lot of it has to do with inner strength. So that's, for me, has been one, because some of those challenges, you know, you kind of look back and you're like, you know, I wish they didn't happen. But at the same time, if they hadn't happened, I wouldn't be who I am now without going through that. So that's probably one of my lessons. The other is, don't put limits on anything. Oh, are you still there? Dr. Sanjay, are you still there? You just kind of disappeared. Okay, you're still there. Okay. But you're don't put limits on yourself. So if there's something that you wish for, desire, go for it. Don't let anything that seems impossible stop you. You know, maybe it takes you 10 years to get there. Maybe it takes you 5 years to get there, but go in small steps till you get there. And probably the other lesson is how important I think mentorship is. So whether you're the one mentoring somebody or somebody mentors you, it's a great way to learn from people, professionals, people in your life. And I'm lucky enough, I've had mentors, whether through family or friends or supervisors over the years, different professionals, even today, that I know from LinkedIn and Facebook. that are in very different areas than me. Some of them are tech oriented, and some of them are, business oriented, and some of them are, have to do with computers and stuff, which I'm not very good with. And I consider myself very grateful to all of them, actually. So I think it's a great way to improve yourself, but it's also a way for you, if you have expertise in something, you have skills in something, that you can help somebody else. So I enjoy doing it. I do it quite often, and I don't know. I think that answers your question.
Thank you so much. You shared three lessons you have learned from your life to our viewers. I have last request to you give a message to our viewers, then we end the show. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch the question.
My question, not a question, it is a request. Give a wonderful message to our viewers,
Oh,
then we end the show. Thank
okay.
you.
Um, you know what? Just find out what brings happiness to your life. Don't let negativity and challenging events keep you down. I think you need to replace those negative thoughts with positive ones, and find what brings you happiness in life, and get outside. Go exercise daily, socialize with family or friends, and if you can only do it this way, do it this way, because that's what we're all kind of being forced to do. Learn. To me, lifelong learning. Read, take up a new hobby, try something you've never tried before, and doesn't matter if you don't do it great. With practice, you'll get better, right? It's like you pick up a new instrument and you start to play. Okay, maybe it takes you 10 years to be awesome, or it could take you 2 years, but just try it, just go for it. So I think that would be my message. And just also be grateful and be kind, and really, to me, focus on community, because I think that's the direction we're heading. So you don't want to kind of be off by yourself, and reach out to people. There are a lot of people who are very isolated. So reach out to somebody maybe you haven't seen or heard from, or, call them or text them, or that would be my message.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful message. Spread the positivity throughout the world. Thank you so much. I once again thank you, Vicky, that you gave time. I'm grateful to you. You share your life journey, your experiences to us, to my viewers. You shared your tips about how we end the corruption. Thank you for such a humble person. I once again thank you. I am grateful. I am honored having you on my show. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Viewers, this is Vicky Brewers. In next live show, we came with another personality. Will learn new things. Till that, stay happy, be happy. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you. Allah Hafiz. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.